Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Trio Petroleum's channel, a preeminent oil and gas exploration development company. Joining us to give us kind of a high-level elevator pitch overview of the company, a little bit of his history and some milestone expectations to discuss. Michael L. Peterson here, the CEO, joining us. Welcome, sir.
It's great to be on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to get you on finally. And I want to get into this because for newer audiences, you kind of have these large assets in California that are already surrounded by these giants like Chevron. For newer audience, perhaps just give us kind of that broader overview. What exactly do you guys have going on the ground floor there?
Well, I think you said it's really amazing. California has been a prolific oil producer, and we have a field. It's about 9,000, almost 9,267 exact acres that is surrounded by these amazing producing fields. For example, to the north is the San Ardo field. It's produced over 525 million barrels of oil. To the south, we have the Cat Canyon West field, which is very analog to what we have. They say it has over 100 million barrels of oil that is going to be extracted from that. To the east and then the southeast, you have the Coalinga field, which most people have heard of. That's a massive field. It's done over 318 million barrels of oil. And then just south of there is what they call the Elk Hills field. Well, excuse me, the Midway field and the Elk Hills field. And they've had over 1 billion barrels of oil. So you have Chevron, you have Oxy that's been there, you have Era. They have a lot of the big producers. And right in the middle of it is our what we call South Salinas project. And we have two fields, a Present field and a Humpback field. So it's pretty exciting to have that type of oil production, that type of field surrounded by proven producers.
Now, give us a little bit of insight into kind of milestone expectations. You've been dropping some news, expanding a lot of the drilling
Sure.
of discovery here. So just tell us what we should look forward to here in 2024.
Well, in 2024, we'll announce production for the first time, revenue. It's a company that started out. We bought these assets from a group called Trio LLC that was started back in 1983 when they left Oxy. They worked with Arm & Hammer and was one of the founders, one of the main people, not Arm & Hammer, and they developed this. They put together this big field. Stan, who did that, is 93 years old, and he's getting towards the end of his life, though he has a lot of energy. He'll probably be with us for a long time. We came in and we negotiated, say, hey, let us help you develop these fields. And so we put that into a company with Frank Ingerselli, who's now our vice chairman, put that into a company in 2022. In 2023, they took it public on New York Stock Exchange and they drilled their first well. And it was really just an exploratory well, because they wanted to see what the bounds of this big field are. We had already drilled one well called the HV3A well, and they drilled that. They showed oil. It was very, very prolific, and they shut it down, thinking that they couldn't produce from it. And then they went to the very outer bounds to drill this HV1 well. So what we're going to see is we're going to announce the restarting of HV3A. We're going to announce the results of the HV1. We're also going to start drilling in a field that is called what we call the McCool Ranch field. It's in the Hangman area, and we have that's a proven producing kind of a bit heavier oil field. And then we have another well, an HV2 well. So what we're doing is we're taking this big field and we're triangulating. And with that, mainly so that we can then understand how to really infill drill out and really start producing the field. So that's kind of where we are. What are you going to see in 2024? You're going to see the announcement of HV3A that we're going to probably in the next week or two, we'll start announcing production from that. That's a well that had produced about 125 barrels of oil on days on an average, between 30 and 40 barrels of oil. We'll also announce that we did announce this already, and it's stuck in there that we have a new discovery, the Mid-Monterey zone. We're talking to right now people who love that zone, and that will add to our reserves. And so we'll talk about how we're going to develop that new zone that we have. And then we're also going to announce the restarting of those 5 wells in the Hangman or the McCool Ranch area. Those wells, previously, those 5 wells produced 400 barrels of oil a day. So those are the things that we're going to announce. We'll start having revenue, and then we'll announce further adding on to those fields.
Interesting.
2024.
So lots to look forward to here. It seems like a pretty
Yeah.
pivotal for you guys. I wouldn't mind rolling back a little bit here as well. I mean, you have over 20 years of experience in venture capital and kind of the oil
Sure.
and gas industry. Do you want to just kind of give us a little brief idea of what got you involved with Trio Petroleum?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I was at Goldman Sachs for a long time. That's my training. But before that, I had started a company, built it up, raised 100 million, took it public, and then Goldman Sachs saw my resume when I went back to get my MBA and said, "Hey, how come this guy's not interviewing with us?" And so I joined Goldman. I was there 11 years, and then I got hired away from Merrill to kind of set up the whole high net worth kind of division. But my real love was in building and growing companies. That's what I did back when I was just started. In fact, I watched my dad do this. And so my goal in life was to kind of wear a cardigan sweater, have an office, you have a marlin on the wall. That's what I saw him do as a young boy. And then so after 15, 17 years in the business, I decided, I need to get back to what my dream was. And that was to really help build and grow young companies. So I started a fund. And in that fund, I started investing in these small companies that really had the opportunity to grow if they just had a little bit of capital. I helped take 7 companies public. One of those companies was a company that Frank Ingrasselli had started after he had left Texaco. And I was one of his first investors. We made 7x on that money with him, and I got to know him. And so following that, I built a solar farm right in the same area where we are now, the largest in California. I did some alternative energy and was very involved with that. And then I invited Frank to join me on a board, and he said he'd love to. And then I sold that company. So I called Frank. I said, "Hey, can't have you on the board, but what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm starting an oil and gas company." And that was PEDEVCO, Pacific Energy Development. And I said, "Let me join you." And so I joined Frank and kind of helped take that company public. That's what I knew how to do. I started out just helping them raise the money and putting everything together, and became the CFO. And then I became the CEO during a real hard time when oil prices went to $29 and proved everyone else went out of business, and we showed we know how to work it. And from that CEO job, I then left and took a 3-year sabbatical to do some kind of service. When I came back, Frank called me and said, "Hey, we've got this great company and we need good directors." And so he asked me to join. I absolutely joined. And then similarly to the other company, Frank was getting to the point where he needed to step down, and he recommended, and the board of directors asked me to step in. And knowing that I love to take things by the horn, I'm an operator, and really make and drive them. So that's how I came in to oil and gas, and that's how I came into Trio. And I'm excited to really to grow the company. We're talking to a lot of great investors who have a lot of excitement for what we're doing, and desire us to kind of fund us along the way. I'll stop there and let you ask the next question.
No, it's no problem at all. I appreciate all the insights today, and I think that offered some clerical view, and I'll pass it off to the viewers. As news and catalysts come down the wire, consider subscribing. As those updates come in, we'll bring it to you here. But on that note, as always, we look forward to catching you on the next one.